Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amy, and today I'm going to go over the books that I read in June and also the books that I plan to read in July. So let's get into it. So the first book, I've already talked about this, so I won't really expand on it, but this is what I read in June. So Into a Golden Era, that was from May until June. That was a 4-star for me. So watch my other videos, so I won't get into that on why. Then I read Unsinkable by Jenny L. Walsh. I keep saying her name wrong. Jenny L. Walsh, excuse me. And this was a 5-star. The whole time, like, you got to be patient and you got to trust the process with this book. It's a slow burn, but at the end, there is a very nice reward in the end. Just wait till the end. It's a very sweet ending. I will say there is mild swearing, not much. It didn't bother me, but for those of you it does bother, just keep that in mind. It's I think, if I remember right, there's a couple H words, maybe one or two D words, and that's it. Like, there's really not much. So just keep that in mind as well. All right, and then the third book I read was A Time to Die by Nadine Brandis. This was a 5-star for me as well. I loved this book. I loved the journey on it. I loved the message in the book. I liked the character development, and then there were quite a bit of twists in this book as well. She was a very complex character. I felt like she was also very relatable. There's not much else for me to say about it. I do have a video that will be coming out on my journey of reading this book, so it'll be coming out after the video you're watching. Now, what I'm currently reading right now is As Sure as the Dawn. This is with Oshina's Francine Rivers book club. I am loving this series, The Mark of the Lion. I loved the first two books. The first book was a 5-star for me. The second book was a 4-star. I've gone into that as well. Now, this one, I'm anticipating this to be a 5-star read. I am loving it so far. I'm not very far. You can see I'm not even a quarter of the way through. So I'm hoping I can get this done before the end of the month. Today is June 28th, so I don't have much time left. I've got I'm very ambitious right now, so we'll see. So now, my last book that I read had it as an ebook, but this book was called Longing for Motherhood. If you are in the fertility arena and you're struggling to find something encouraging to read, or anything that's encouraging, I highly recommend this book. Even if you're not married and you desire to have children, this is a really good book to read for those people as well, because it just changes your mindset from, like, this is what I want, to this is what God wants for me. Sometimes it's not always what we had in mind from the beginning, but our desires changes to what God desires. There's questions at the end of each chapter. I highly recommend it for those who are struggling to have kids. Now, for the books that I'm hoping to read this month, or in the month of July. Now, I'm following Oshina's book club for Francine Rivers. So the next book for July is And the Shofar Blew. I didn't know anything about this book, so I'll read the back of it for those of you who are also unfamiliar with it. He seemed like the perfect pastor to lead Centerville Christian Church. She was the perfect pastor's wife. When Paul Hudson accepted the call to pastor the struggling church, he had no idea what to expect, but it didn't take long for Paul to turn Centerville Christian Church around. Attendance was up, way up. Everything was going so well. If only his wife could see it his way. Still, he tried not to let her quiet presence disturb him. She knew something wasn't right, but it hadn't been for a long time. Eunice closed the bedroom door quietly and knelt beside her bed. I'm drowning, God. I've never felt so alone. Who can I turn to but you, Lord? Where else does a pastor's wife go for help when her marriage is failing and her life is out of control? Who can I trust with my anguish, Lord? Who but you? Grasping her pillow, she pressed it tightly to her mouth so that her sobs would not be heard. I have a feeling this is going to be triggering for me. I heard that there's a lot of church hurt. I've gone through a lot of church trauma and church hurt, so this might be triggering, but I am going to read it anyways because I might learn something or glean something, or it might be healing for me. So I'm going to read it, and if it is too triggering for me, I'll put it down. Then the next book I have on my list. There's some authors I want to read to zero. Karen Kingsbury is one of them. I have just recently discovered that she has this huge long series following this family called the Baxters. I didn't know this. And I wish that I had been following them as they were coming out, but I didn't know this at the time. If I had, I would have been following it. And I read a few of her books in the past, so I'm going to go back and reread them. It's been a good 12 years at least because I graduated in college in 2012. Oh, way past 12 years. So it's been a hot minute since I've read any of Karen Kingsbury's books. So, Where Yesterday Lives, I wanted to really kind of start close to the beginning to see where her style has changed and just follow that journey. Also, did you know that she started out as a true crime author? I didn't know this. I was shocked. And so I wanted to start that out with those books, but as I said, I read those kind of books more in the fall. So I'm starting with Where Yesterday Lives. This one was published in 1998, and then in the fall, I might I might do I might start with her true crime books just to get those out of the way and see how those are. So that's the plan, but I will read the synopsis for you. Ellen Barrett, 31, is a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist with an uncertain marriage, a forgotten faith, and haunting memories of her picturesque hometown and the love she left behind. The eldest of five siblings, Ellen longs for the time long ago when they were happy, when they were a family. Then tragedy strikes. Now Ellen's beloved father is dead, and she must leave Miami and return to her childhood home on the shores of Little Traverse Bay in Petoskey, Michigan. As she returns to a world that was an avalanche of memories is unleashed. And so Ellen's quest begins, a quest to make peace with the people who still live there, with the losses and changes that time has wrought, and with the future God has set before her. So that one sounds good. I heard about this book from Alma from Alma's Book Journey, and it's Dear Mrs. Hamilton. So, Dear Mrs. Hamilton by Stephanie Dray and Laura Camoy. A general's daughter, coming of age to the perilous frontier of revolutionary New York, Elizabeth Schuyler champions the fight for independence, and when she meets Alexander Hamilton, Washington's penniless but passionate aide de camp, she's captivated by the young officer's charisma and brilliance. They fall in love despite Hamilton's bastard birth and the uncertainties of war. The founding father's wife, but the union they create in their marriage and the new nation is far from perfect. From glittering inaugural balls to bloody street riots, the Hamiltons are at the center of it all, including the political treachery of America's first sex scandal, which forces Eliza to struggle through heartbreak and betrayal and find forgiveness. The last surviving light of the revolution, when a duel destroys Eliza's hard won peace, the grieving widow fights her husband's enemies to preserve Alexander's legacy. But long buried secrets threaten everything Eliza believes about her marriage and her own legacy, questioning her tireless devotion to the man and country that have broken her heart. She's left with one last battle to understand the flawed man she married and imperfect union he could never have created without her. That sounds interesting. I also have a TBR because my TBR list is getting out of control. So, what I drew out of that is called In Order to Live. All right, so here's the synopsis. In order to live, Yeonmi Park shines a light not just into the darkest corners of life in North Korea, describing the deprivation and deception she endured and which millions of North Korean people continue to endure to this day, but also onto her own most painful and difficult memories. She tells with bravery and dignity for the first time the story of how she and her mother were betrayed and sold into sexual slavery in China and forced to suffer terrible psychological and physical hardship before they finally made their way to Seoul, South Korea, and to freedom. Park confronts her past with a startling resilience. In spite of everything, she has never stopped being proud of where she is from and never stopped striving for a better life. Indeed, today she is a human rights activist working determinedly to bring attention to the oppression taking place in her home country. Park's testimony is heartbreaking and unimaginable, but never without hope. This is the human spirit at its most indomitable. So, if it gets too graphic, I'm just going to have to put the book down. I don't know if it is. Let me look at the reviews. I'm not seeing anything in here specifically saying it's I'm not seeing anything that's popping out just skimming through here saying that it is graphic. I'm excited for this list. I'm excited for Where Yesterday Lives. I'm also kind of I'm intrigued about Mrs. Hamilton. Again, if that gets graphic as well, then that's also going to have to be put down as a DNF. And I don't tolerate anything that's too graphic, anything that's graphic at all. So I'm closed door. Let me know what you're looking forward to in July as well, and let me know in the comments, and I might be interested in it too. So I will talk to you later. Bye.